Welcome to the deep dive. If you're prepping for your ATPL theory exams, you definitely know the control systems part. Control laws, flight envelope protection. It can feel like a real minefield. Loads of specific numbers, mode changes.
It really can. Things you just have to memorize.
Exactly. So our mission today is pretty laser focused. We want to give you, the learner, the kind of ultimate guide here. We're pulling out every single testable fact we can find in the source material, but also giving you the context, so these complex rules actually make sense and hopefully stick.
Yeah, it's more than just a list, right? We're trying to decode the invisible logic, the sort of software brain that stops a modern jet doing something, well, aerodynamically or structurally suicidal.
Yeah, good way to put it.
We'll look at the foundational rules, maybe using something like the Boeing 737-400 as a baseline for conventional autopilot limits, and then we'll jump into the really advanced stuff, the safety nets you get in fly-by-wire aircraft.
Okay, and our source material for this is the technical documentation. It details pretty much everything from basic autopilot logic right through to those hard-coded flight envelope limits. We need to go beyond just, defining terms. We really need to get under the hood, understand the why behind a mode change, for instance.
The core question, I suppose, is how does an aircraft system mimic a safe, logical pilot? And critically for your exams, what are the precise, absolutely non-negotiable limits that guarantee safety?
Right. So get ready because we're pulling out the exact mode changes, the specific numerical values, the stuff that's almost guaranteed to pop up on your theory paper.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting right at the beginning, the absolute foundation, control laws, and the basic logic that governs pretty much every single autopilot movement, really regardless of the specific aircraft type.
Okay. So at its heart, the autopilot's imperative, you could call it, is actually deceptively simple. The AP, the autopilot, it just has to maneuver the aircraft logically and safely.
Like a human pilot would, or should.
Essentially, yeah. Mimicking a well-trained, highly disciplined human pilot, someone who anticipates problems, before they even occur.
But safety means constraints.
Yeah.
That's where the control law really starts, isn't it? The AP absolutely must not break aircraft limitations.
Correct. We're talking the hard red lines here. V-speeds, structural load factor limits, pitch limits, bank limits. If the autopilot gets too aggressive, the risk isn't just, spilling coffee. It could be actual structural damage or even aerodynamic failure, loss of control.
That's absolutely right. So you can think of the autopilot as constantly balancing these two sort of opposing forces.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
First is safety. That demands strict adherence to all those limits we just mentioned.
Right. Non-negotiable.
But the second is performance. The maneuver still needs to be completed efficiently. If the autopilot is too gentle, well, maneuvers take forever. Wasting time, wasting fuel.
Exactly. It has to use a satisfactory amount of the aircraft's performance envelope. It can't just crawl through the sky.
Okay, so this is where the idea of applying sensible limits comes in. The system needs, judgment. You don't want the aircraft behaving erratically.
Let's take an example. A really straightforward VFR navigational turn. Simple, right? Pilot needs to turn 90 degrees. They have to pick a bank angle.
Okay.
Now, if they choose, say, 5 degrees of bank, well, it would feel like you're trying to circumnavigate the globe. It would take absolutely forever. That's just inefficient.
Right, unusable.
But the other extreme is just as bad, maybe worse. Imagine trying a 90-degree bank turn in a transport category aircraft.
Yeah, that's not happening, or not ending well.
Precisely. It's excessively harsh. You're risking major structural issues from the load factor, pulling several Gs. Plus, you'd get a massive loss of height, and it would be incredibly uncomfortable, probably dangerous for anyone on board.
So the autopilot has to mimic that pilot's good judgment, the judgment that says the sensible turn, the one balancing efficiency, safety, passenger comfort, that usually uses a bank angle somewhere between, 30 and 45 degrees?
That's the typical range, yes. It gets the job done quickly enough without violating the structural limits or...
All right. Many thanks for listening to this free part of the ATPL Theory podcast. If you want to continue learning and access the full comprehensive guide, go to my Patreon at patreon.com/ATPLtheory or my Hero at herohero.co/ATPL. That is patreon.com/ATPLtheory or herohero.co/ATPL. Wishing you all the best